Thank you for joining me today. This is going to be a 100 subscriber special. So this is the thank you to all my subscribers to this channel, as well as a bit of a backstory on how I got where I am in the hospitality industry, because I don't think many people know this unless you know me personally. And it's kind of an interesting story. I I traveled for my previous career quite a bit in the country, and I got to spend time in some very beautiful places doing wonderful things for the environment. So I used to work for the USDA Forest Service as my former career, and that may come as a surprise to a lot of people. So I'll share with you some pictures that I had saved from a while ago, back in starting in 2016, 2017, and 2018. Um, I had a lot of fun doing that, and I traveled first to Missouri as a wilderness ranger. I was an SCA intern, Student Conservation Association intern, and I was able to work in some very remote places and see a very beautiful side of the country that otherwise I would not have been able to see so easily. And I was paid for my efforts as well, which was a wonderful experience to have a 16,000 acre office, to be fair. That was a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I wanted to do that again. So I went to Kentucky as a supervisor. I was the lead backcountry ranger intern as well for the SCA as well, and did that longer than I anticipated. My contract was for, if I'm not mistaken, 11 months, 10 or 11 months, and I exceeded that as a volunteer. I wanted to continue doing what I was doing through the winter and then into the next season, so I was able to stay on site and continue my commitment to the environment, and I was able to onboard the new staff for the following year, which was very, very good that I got to do that. And from there, I was hired directly by the USDA Forest Service for a position in New Mexico. And that didn't really turn out too well for me. I was unfortunately injured on the job in the middle of the Gila Wilderness, and that was a pretty traumatic injury in the sense that it was a joint injury, and I had to extricate myself as best as I could the 10 miles that I had hiked into the backcountry back out. I was able to do so, but in a lot of agony, and we found out after some tests with a knee specialist that I had torn my meniscus, among other things. There were also cysts in the joint, a lot of things that were not good with the knee, and that's my dominant side, my left. So that was not good for me. I went to light duty immediately, and I was put behind the desk, and I didn't like it. Did not like it at all. I missed being able to walk outside, and that was a huge thing, was being able to hike and do sorts of fun things with the environment that I couldn't really do. And I thought, okay, let's just try to make the best of it. And the unfortunate side is I was a seasonal employee, and I was not to exceed 1,039 hours because that was the contract term. And so when I was laid off and I moved out to South Dakota, there was, sad to say, there was not a whole lot of support left for me. And I decided to just step away from it and to see what else I could do. And so this was the end of 2018 into 2019, and I thought, okay, we're out here, it's a new state, what can I do? So I figured, let's just try some odd jobs here and there until I found something I liked, and I happened on hospitality really by, I don't want to say happenstance, but it wasn't something I thought I was going to fall in love with the way I did. I remember applying the first time, and I was turned down, and I thought, that's okay. You're not going to defeat me the first time. I'm not going to take that as your final answer. When I have the bit between my teeth, I'm very stubborn that way. So I tried again, and I was hired. And this was at my first property, which at the time was a IHG Holiday Inn Express property. And I was there for a fairly long time in the sense that we'd rebranded into Best Western. We had a $5 million renovation, and I was there for all of it. I stayed. How long did I stay there? A fair amount of time. Long enough to realize that I had really fallen in love with this type of career field, and I wanted to do more. I remember, because I predominantly worked overnights, I remember looking at one of our resources that we had as Best Western employees, which is MemberWeb. MemberWeb is a very, very useful resource to employees. And there was an education section at the top of MemberWeb, and I thought, okay, let's click that. And at the top of that tab was AHLEI, the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute, and I fell right down that rabbit hole, and I'm still there because I'm a strong believer in education that enable us to achieve our goal. So I decided to go down that route, and I started taking courses and earning certifications, many of which are up on this wall behind me. After a point, I became a registered proctor with the AHLEI so that I could pass on some knowledge that I had gained, but also the ability to certify other people and to train other people as well with the resources that have helped me so much. And that's something I'm a firm believer in. So from Best Western, I went to a position with a very small franchise called Grand Stay, and that was an interesting experience. It was a fairly small hotel, not a whole lot of rooms, but the interesting part is that property will routinely sell out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because of its specific locale. And that is a business heavy property. It's a very corporate demand heavy property. So it was a contrast to the typical leisure dominant property that the Best Western and IHG Holiday Inn Express property was, because that was a water park hotel. So your peak days were Friday, Saturday because of the leisure traffic, as opposed to during the week when business traffic is a lot higher. So that was a nice contrast that I got to see, and I liked that. And it took me by surprise, to be fair. I was not expecting that. But that was also a great experience. And from there, I moved to a different property, again, south, Country Inn and Suites. And this is where I currently am. I also help out at a sister property, a Wyndham Hotel. And this has been probably the most rewarding out of all the properties I've been at, just because it seems like this is the best of both worlds. This is a property that can do very well on the weekend. It can also do very well during the week, depending on what activity is going on in that particular town. And that whole area is growing and it's expanding, and I foresee a lot of opportunity in that area. So I want to continue doing what I'm doing, especially there. Early last summer, I was made the front office manager at the property, and that was a very proud achievement for me. I had my CFDM, Certified Front Desk Manager certification back in 22, and the fact that I was able to put that on a business card, and that was really good to be able to do that. It was also a really difficult course, which is no longer available now, but that's okay. We have other courses on HLEI. I love what I do so much, and that's a large part of what makes me who I am, because I'm a firm believer in the human connection. I'm a firm believer in creating experiences for people, unique experiences that they will remember. And I try to do as much as I can for people to be able to give that to somebody. And You're not always able to do it, but you can always learn from what you should have or could have done better. And I always try to not just go above and beyond, but learn from what I could have done differently. Because there's a lot of, again, there's a lot of different ways to do things. And if you can't approach this field from a position of I know everything. That is a stupid, selfish way of thinking. This industry is always evolving, it is always changing. This is a dynamic industry, so you have to be ready for anything. Like COVID, for example, that took everybody by surprise, and nobody anticipated how destructive and damaging it was going to be to the industry. And I do want to make a video as a case study about the effects of COVID and the after effects of COVID, because to be fair, I do not believe the industry has fully recovered across all segments. Leisure came back first, but I don't believe corporate and business demand, group demand, has come back to the pre-2019 levels, or to 2019 levels, I should say. That's still down in not quite as high as it used to be. But really, can we base performance off of a year that we may not ever see again? I don't know. These are questions that I like to ask. These are questions that I like to seek the answers to. I spend a lot of time on the hotelnewsnow.com, the CoStar Hospitality News website. It's a very great, informative place for people in the industry who want to know more about what's going on, not just in their nation, but worldwide. And very useful insights with people who have been in the industry much longer than myself. So yeah, I really enjoy what I do, and I really want to thank everybody for coming along with me for this journey. It's been a wonderful experience, and I know a lot of people are a big fan of the ASMR content. I also am. I love making those videos. It's a lot of fun. I'm starting to do some YouTube shorts. I'll try to do a couple more of those as best as I can. The longer videos take, of course, longer to edit and longer to film, but the shorts, it seems to be a good sweet spot for me, so I might do some more content there. But feel free to give me suggestions. I'm always open to suggestions. And this is JayHospitality signing off. Thank you for joining me today.